Alright, so hi, I'm Nelly, and for this vlog, the question is, think about your own culture and describe your barriers to intercultural communication and your nonverbal communication. So this is actually a really interesting question for me, simply because I was born in Germany. My dad is in the Army, and so we moved around a lot. I was never really anywhere for more than 3 years aside from Germany. So I actually lived in Germany for the first 10 years of my life. I have an American father and a German mother, and therefore, I was able to learn both languages fluently, and also really I was able to take advantage of both cultures. A lot of things that, we did were because they're my mom's traditions, and then a lot of things we did were because of my dad's. And so that even meant having two different Christmases, basically, because Germans really celebrate a big Christmas on the 24th of December, and then we'd have another really big Christmas on the 25th, so that was pretty cool. But, as I read through, especially chapter 3, it really made me think about some certain things and some different parts of growing up and some different barriers and instances that I faced. And so first, I want to talk about anxiety, which is on page 68 of our text. And in the text, it says that when you're anxious due to not knowing what you are expected to do, it's only natural to focus on that feeling and not be totally present in the communication transaction. So I totally get this because when I actually did first get to the States, I was scared. I mean, I was young. I was, 10, 11 years old. I was terrified. I didn't know what was going to happen. And I even did some weird things. So, like, for instance, if I would get really nervous or have anxiety, I would just start speaking German, even though nobody around me understood that language. And so, that was kind of a way that I found comfort. And, when it talks about just being anxious due to not knowing what you're expected to do, it's so true because as a kid, being in two different countries, you honestly feel like you're in two different worlds. Maps look huge, globes, they look big and scary. And, so I think, and a lot of times we're a lot more alike than I thought at that time. But yeah, definitely had some anxiety going on there. The next thing I wanted to talk about was stereotypes and prejudice. So it really talks about that on 72. The text says the word stereotyping was first used by journalist Walter Lippmann in 1922 to describe judgments made about others on the basis of their ethnic group membership. So sadly, this actually went on a lot. So even as a kid, people would ask me if I was a Nazi, or they would automatically greet me with a Hail Hitler thing. And this was terrible being a kid because I didn't even know anything about this. I wasn't part of it. My family had nothing to do with it. And people just always really made fun of me, and automatically, as soon as they found out that I was German, assumed that I came from a family of Nazis. And so this was really tough, and anytime that we talked about it in class, I was extremely embarrassed because everyone would kind of stare at me and, judge me and look at me funny, and I was constantly having to explain that I was not a Nazi. And even now, being 21, I still get the jokes, and sometimes people are serious. They really do think that I belong to that. And as far as the nonverbal communication goes, actually, in America, we verbally communicate a lot more, I feel like, than we do in Germany. In Germany, you could basically say a whole sentence with just your face, and everyone knew what you were talking about. And so I kind of had to learn to express myself more verbally and not just expect everyone to read based on my facial expressions or my body language. And so, yeah, it's been a really interesting transition. I love both homes and both cultures and all of that, and I'm very lucky to be diverse. And so I'm glad that this topic came up and so that I could share with you. So thanks for watching, and have a good one.